Hey, how's it going? Hopefully, all's well with you. Did you ever think about, as a caregiver, what to do for yourself? I hate the phrase self care. Gotta do self care. Well, you know what? There's a lot to that. I just don't like, I don't know, it's just a cheesy phrase. But caregiving can take a lot out of the caregiver. There's so many things that are into play, and people don't realize what is actually at stake. I didn't. My dad died 2 months before I was a 24/7 caregiver to my mom. With that realization, I had no idea what I was stepping into. Matter of fact, at the time that this was all happening, I didn't even realize that my mom was a dementia patient. I didn't know anything about dementia. I thought I had witnessed some things that were odd, things that didn't make sense. Um, but with that being said, dealing with my mom's psychosis, with her new way of living, things that I was not um, aware of because I wasn't living with her. She was very independent. My mom is like fiercely independent. I still talk about her in present tense, even though this month it'll be a year. I um I think about my mom and what she may have experienced and what it was like for her. Because there's been times that I would ask her towards the end of her life, I'd say something and I go, Mom, you repeated that about 5 times already. And she goes, Oh, I'm sorry, Carolyn. I said, No, Mom. I mean, you don't realize that you're doing that, but I just want to remind you or just let you know. She goes, My brain is just cuckoo. I don't remember things anymore. I don't. And I felt bad for her because I don't know what that's like. And she was experiencing it, but I'm sure she didn't realize what it was like either, you know? It was new for both of us. Um, Kind of like when I had to bring her to an assisted living place for a temporary basis so that I could work on her house and do some things. Um, so she was in there for, I want to say 2 months. I could be over. Well, anyway, when we signed her up for this assisted living, they said we can give you respite care. I go, what's that? That's how green I was about caregiving. I didn't even know what the word respite meant. I There was no meaning to the word respite. It was completely new to me. So I'm going to give you Webster's dictionary definition. Um, it's basically a period of temporary delay. All right. If it's a verb, you're going to take respite time to grant a temporary period of relief, to grant respite to somebody, you know? And if you use it as an adjective describing provide or being temporary care in relief of a primary caregiver. Bingo. So this place that I took my mom to, we found it through a it was an outsource for uh, they basically were to tell you, well, these are the places that are assisted living, group homes, whatever, and they help you find a place for mom. That's one of the places too. um, and when I went there, he said we have respite care because they know it's temporary. And if there's an opening within their facility, then mom can move in. And there was at the time back then, it was like $150 a day. And that included uh, her own room and the meals and everything, the activities. And I believe I might have had to pay a little bit extra for a CNA, a, um, a nursing assistant to come in and bathe her twice a week, that type of thing. So, I mean, it was worth it. So, I needed to have respite care and someone to watch mom while I was busy doing something, and then eventually move mom back into her home. That was before I was a 24/7 caregiver. This is probably 3 years before. Like I said, mom was still needing temporary care, but was pretty much mobile at that time, able to walk around with the little walker and rolling walker and such. So, respite care became extremely important. It became extremely important to me because as I got to be familiar with caregiving, I realized how much it takes out of a person to think for two people, to do everything twice. Um, Sometimes you don't have people around to help you, so you end up doing everything. And in 2021, beginning of 2021, my mom had some head trauma, and I ended up saying, I'll be at the house taking care of mom 24/7 for probably around 2 weeks, and I'll be back. That's what I told Deb. I told Deborah that I'll be back. So I packed an overnight bag. It lasted 3.5 years. 3.5 years. And I was still working out of that overnight bag. A lot of that, I will admit, was my I wasn't accepting of anything. There's no way in the world that my mom is so bad that I have to move in. There's no way. And I didn't know she was a dementia patient. I didn't know that she had mild cognitive impairment. I didn't know any of that stuff. But when I was with her, I started to notice things. Started to notice things around the house that were weird. Trying to deal with that entire time frame of what it makes you feel like, what it trying to understand what you're dealing with. It's like crazy town. And there's tickets galore, and everybody's going there that has to deal with this. And I felt like I was holding the entire coupon book. Nobody was really understanding where I was coming from. And the feelings that you have as a caregiver and that frustration, you feel like you're the only person that's experiencing it and that nobody else understands. 9 times out of 10, that's pretty much true because nobody really is going to understand it unless they're in it with you, especially when you're dealing with dementia. There's a whole new way of dealing with life for yourself and for your loved one. So what I did is I ended up testing out at least seven different people as a backup caregiver. I needed to continue to work. I took my business. I grabbed everything to make my business functioning because I had my own office. But what I did is I ended up packing everything and bringing it to my mom's house so that I can continue to function within my job. I was still an entrepreneur. I was still with Deborah doing a contracting business. I did the admin. I was the executive admin of that company. She worked out in the field. Nothing changed for her, but what changed for me was the location and where I was doing business. There's times that I had to go back and forth to my mom and back and forth to my house just for work, just to get away, just to do things. It took 7 people for me to interview, to give it a go, to give it a try. That mom finally said, I like that person. And I said, you know what? I think it's going to work out for me too. And we ended up staying with this one person. But, it's costly. We negotiated a price. I tried care services. I tried independent people. I tried all kinds of things. But for 2 to 4 hours of a break, whether I utilize that for grocery shopping, personal time, work time, if it's $20 an hour, you only want 2 hours, it's $40. If you need 4 hours of time to get something done, it's $80. Sometimes I even hired the person for 10 hours and said, here's $200, but that's only one day. There's a lot to think about that. If someone is willing and able to work out a schedule with you, if you're able to afford something like that, and let me tell you, 4 hours goes by quick. Mom only lived 20 minutes away from my house. But if I go back and forth, that's a half an hour of time. And by the time I actually get situated with my work and I start getting in a role, it eats up a lot of time. It goes by so quickly. So number one, respite. Find a way to have time for yourself, whether it be a vacation, a 2 day getaway. Find somebody that's able to give you a temporary giveaway, a getaway. If you have to hire somebody for a few hours, then go ahead and do that. I found a lot of times that my time for myself was during my support group meetings every week through Dementia Care Blazers. They understood what a caregiver was going through. It's basically a hub of all the caregivers that deal with dementia on different levels, different types of dementia. And we all talk about what we're going through. It's people with like mindedness. It's invaluable. And to this day, even though mom has passed, I still keep in touch with these people. I'm helping people that are new to caregiving. I've already gone through the trench. They're going through the trench, and I can at least guide them a little bit. We have our grief group there that helps out immensely. It's such a daunting task. The other thing too is Medicare has just started this. I used to talk about IHSS as being a provider and being paid through the state of California through Medi-Cal, nationally known as Medicaid. But now Medicare has just recently put a dementia care service available for caregivers. They give you an allowance of $2,500 per year, and it's intended to be utilized that you can take that $2,500 and you can hire somebody, use it for caregiving, use it for respite time. Medicare has actually recognized that the caregiver needs help. $2,500 doesn't seem like much. And typically, what I just said, if you only need 4 hours and you get in one day, that's $80 if it's $20 if you're fortunate enough to find that. But when you think about $2,500 per year, that doesn't go far, but it's something. Go on a trip, go on a weekend trip, see if they can do a 24-hour respite care for you. But that's an option. And the last tip that I remember with my dad, he was not a dementia patient, but I was his caregiver up until the very end. And he lived in San Diego County, and they have Scripps Hospital there. They had a service through the social worker, the hospital social worker, and they provided home health care services. Home health is where they actually send people to your home. And when dad was getting worse, he ended up staying with Deborah and myself. And home health said, you live right on the border of San Diego County. So, you know what? I believe that we can come to your area. And sure enough, they ended up coming to my house to take care of my dad. So what you need to do is check with your local hospital and check in with their social worker to find out if they have home health care services. It really is very helpful. If you need PT, OT, if you need a speech pathologist to help you with swallowing or any of these things, home health care should be able to help you with that. I know it helped out my dad. He's a little bit stubborn. point is that he got help and they were willing to come out to him. It's a whole different story about whether he wanted the help because he didn't think he needed it. He thought it was silly when the speech pathologist said, "Here's a sandwich. Please eat it in front of me." And Dad's like laughing, going, "Why do you want me to eat a sandwich in front of you?" Well, we need to verify that you can swallow properly and that when you drink your liquids that you can swallow properly, because pneumonia aspiration is real. If you swallow incorrectly and it doesn't go down what we call the proverbial tube the right way, it can actually end up in your lungs. And next thing you know, you have a pneumonia. It's a real thing. And that's what they look for in the elderly. So I hope these tips help you. It's just backup information for the caregiver. Remember, respite's big. If you can't do respite, then hire somebody to help you for so many hours to give yourself a break. Check in with support groups. It helps alleviate some of the stresses you may be going through. Medicare, check out their program and see if you qualify and if you could sign up for that service for some financial aid to get respite care. And also check in with your local hospital if the social worker can advise you about home health care services. In the meantime, I'm always going to tell you, be blessed and always continue to be good to yourself. I'll see you in the next video. Bye. Hey, thanks for watching. And please remember to hit the subscribe button. We are trying to grow our channel and reach 1,000 subscribers. Now, for every new subscriber, these two nutheads right here, they're going to get a treat, so we will all be happy. Thanks for watching.